Ciao, buongiorno, wherever you are and whatever time it is in the world right now. We are eternally grateful for you guys tuning in once again to the Inter Worldwide podcast. Off the top of my head, I don't even know what episode number this is now, but we've been bringing you that content and there's so much to talk about. So we are going to dive into plenty of topics today. But before I talk about what's on the horizon, I need to introduce to you my powerful panel. Coming at you once again is Alessandro. Alessandro, come stai, fratello?
Everything's fine here. Is almost 11 at night in San Francisco.
San Francisco, what is up? Leon, nice to hear from you again, my friend. Where are you and what time is it, man?
Oh, buongiorno from New York. It's 2 a.m. here right now.
Awesome. Happy days. And I also have a very special guest, and I'm honored to have Daniel, the president of the Inter Club Norway from Norway. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Ciao, ragazzi. My pleasure. It's really cool to be here.
How good. Now, we've got a pretty jam-packed episode for you guys tonight, and it is going to be a little longer than usual. So just a little outline. We are going to go through the 1-0 away first leg victory against Rapid Vienna, which we were quite fortunate to come away with a first leg advantage there. We're then going to dive into the preview of Sampdoria, in which all the ragazzi agree this is a fundamental 3 points to keep the engine ticking towards the end of the season. We are also going to interview Daniel about the Inter Club in Norway and talk a little bit about the foundations of that club and how they operate over there in terms of Interisti. And then towards the end, we are going to dissect the ever so popular issue that can't seem to take a break, which is, wait, I almost said capitano for a second, didn't I? Mauro Icardi. We will dissect it at the end, ragazzi. But before we go into that controversial topic, let's talk Europa League. Let's talk Rapid Vienna. I was fortunate enough to catch the match, obviously 4:45 in the morning, kickoff in Australia. It wasn't ideal, but I think Inter came out of the gates in this match a little bit more lively, as was expected. But just like our performances domestically this season, around that 30 to 35 minute mark is where we started to tire. And not only that, we came out in the second half looking sluggish, on the back foot, frustrated, and overall incompetent. It was a victory that was masked a little bit by the off-field dramas and didn't serve too much for confidence going into this weekend. Although we take a 1-0 away lead into the next leg at the Meazza, Alessandro, what are your thoughts on the overall result against Rapid? Do you still see the positives going into the second leg and even carrying that form domestically this week?
I'm not so sure. Honestly, the only positive note of this game was the final result. I don't think there was any step forward compared to the previous games. Honestly, the players were not there with the head, and if it wasn't for that penalty, probably at the end we had just, I don't know. I'm not even sure if we're gonna get away with 1 point. The I know that a lot of players were not available for different reasons, but whoever played today was not there with the head. Honestly, it was like a game of a month ago when everything was bad.
Yeah, it did look like there was, some psychological incompetencies. Leon, did you happen to catch much of the Rapid fixture this morning? And, even if you only caught a little bit, what's your overall thoughts on carrying a 1-goal advantage into the next leg?
I mean, the 1-goal advantage is always great, especially we're taking back home. We've got the away goal. It's 3 points. It's a team we're superior to. I do see us advancing, but the scary thing is it's status quo in 2019. Ever since that Sassuolo game, we're not creating chances. We're not putting the shots on goal. No one's stepping up. Like Alessandro said, if it wasn't for that penalty, which came out of nothing, came out of Perisic falling on the ground and El Toro just kind of running up from behind and just randomly getting that kick, I didn't see a great domination or offensive effort going on there. So while I think we get through, we got the 3 points, it's great. It's still a provincial side the way we're playing in terms of offense. The defense is playing great, but they're just not connecting to the forward line.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even though Raja Nainggolan and Ivan Perisic weren't fantastic today, you take their little bit of world-class quality out of our side today, and we probably lose that match, to be honest, because even though they didn't have great performances, they were still the only form of quality that was giving us any form of momentum. I'm going to pinpoint one incident. I'm pretty sure it was in the second half. I mean, it doesn't make sense for it to be in the first half. It was when Ivan Perisic intentionally got himself booked. I don't know if you guys saw that. He had to lunge from behind. The reason he lunged from behind is because there was such a large gap from the halfway line into our defensive third. There was probably like a good 12 to 15 meter gap, and he's run all the way back to track it down. And as he's gotten up, he's thrown his arms up and screamed at the rest of the team in frustration. Daniel, from Norway,
Yeah.
were you able to catch the match this morning, man? And what did you, this morning, whatever time it was for you, sorry, and what did you think overall?
Overall, I guess it was a hard-fought win, a classic 1-0 in Austria. And of course, Rapid Vienna is a very defensive team and hasn't conceded any goals until yesterday. So, and overall, okay, we got the win, the goal, and I guess it will be much different in Milano. So yeah.
Well, you'd hope so. You'd hope that we can go to Milan and get a much more comfortable result and maybe even put the tie to bed early by halftime or earlier on. Just quickly before we move on to Sampdoria, Alessandro, a standout performer for you in the match this morning. If you had to highlight one player, who would you say had the best performance for Inter this morning?
I don't know if it's the best performance, but I think Perisic is getting back to a good form. Definitely is going back to running, dribbling. The only danger we have from the game are coming from Perisic, and Nainggolan had a scoring opportunity, and that was all by Perisic. Was creating dribbling to opponent on the left, and then Nainggolan just missed the score, but. Otherwise, I think he's getting back in shape, and that's a very positive signal. The rest of the team, though, especially in the midfield, is if Brozovic is not playing, Barca Valero was good, but not good enough. And having Vecino in the middle right now, Vecino, I don't know, is not playing soccer. I don't know what sport he's playing, but it's not soccer.
Just Vecino's just a whole new level of mediocre that we need to rid ourselves of. Personally, I would say this morning for me, I thought Stefan de Vrij put in a Milan Skriniar-like performance. Not only was he rock solid at the back, but he assumed the duties of bringing the ball out with his feet a few times as well. There was one incident in particular. I think it was in the second half. Yeah, he takes the ball on the left-hand side of our box and he just dribbles past two players and is able to distribute a ball quite easily to Perisic. That was really refreshing from me because I think Stefan de Vrij is a fantastic centre-back. And to be honest, I think it was Daniel, I'm not too sure, just said that the defense is fantastic. And, it's true, the defense is fantastic at the moment. We've just got issues elsewhere. So we're moving along now a little bit. We've spoken about Rapid. It was good to get the results. We have a fixture in just under 3 days' time. It's around 4 o'clock in the morning on a Monday against Sampdoria. And I'm looking forward to this one, to be honest, because Sampdoria are a quality opposition, especially domestically. They've got some good players. And, I actually think they've hit a couple of poor games recently, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll be looking to come out firing. I'm particularly looking forward to the fact that we'll have a couple of our regular starters back for this match. And the team could really use the psychological and physical boost of Marcelo Brozovic and, of course, Milan Skriniar. It also remains to be seen if former captain Mauro Icardi takes the pitch once again this weekend. I'm going to start with Leon because he's got a little bit of an exciting tale as to where he's going to be watching the match. So, Leon, crossing over to you to preview a little bit of Sampdoria for me, mate.
Yeah, thanks. Looking forward to heading out there. I fly out to Milan in I guess 12 hours or so. So excited to see the game. Head back to the San Siro, grab a panini, pop into the game. I don't know if we're still calling it the Wanda Derby anymore or what, but uh, as with these past few games, I'm really hesitant to see a dominant performance from them. I'd love to see it, but I'm hesitant to call it. Uh, but some of the lesser performing players have been stepping up, with the example of Perisic and Raja. So I'm thinking, the defense has been playing great. We haven't given up many goals in 30 days, but the offense just needs to get together. So it's going to be a scrappy game. Quagliarella, if we can keep him out of the score sheet, that's great. I'm seeing a 1-0 win here, and I'm hoping Perisic gets on the score sheet, and that gets his momentum going. I don't know if Icardi's getting called up. I'm sure we'll get into that later, but it's going to be a testy game for sure.
Oh, it'll be a really tough one, man. I mean, the reverse fixture at Sampdoria this season was still, in my opinion, the craziest fixture that we've had so far this season. I know we've had a topsy-turvy crazy season, but that was the match of VAR. And I actually remember watching those 3 or 4 incidents in that match and thinking I was in a parallel universe at one point. I regret getting up a minute before the full-time whistle after I think it was we had a goal disallowed around minute 88 or 89, and then Sampdoria had a goal disallowed minute 91, 92, and then I just got up because I thought that'll be it. They'll blow the whistle in 30 seconds, and then I hear screams from the TV and see that Marcelo Brozovic has put it in the very last second, and I think that was when Luciano Spalletti received a touchline ban for screaming at the camera. Alessandro, crossing over to you because I know you're quite realistic, but you've gotten a few predictions wrong recently, man. How are you heading into Sampdoria?
Yeah, last week I said 2-0 for us. It was 1-0, so it wasn't so wrong. So Sampdoria is a tricky prediction because they can play really well. They can totally dominate the game, or they can play poorly, like in the last 2 games for them. So I hope is, of course, the second option. So a poor game from their side, and even if we do another embarrassing 1-0, it's fine. There are still 3 points. So and yeah, I'm curious to see if Icardi will be back or not. I'm curious to see if Politano is playing, and if he's playing at a better level than today or yesterday. So it's we have Quagliarella on Sampdoria that didn't score last time, but otherwise it was scoring 9 games in a row, record in Serie A. So there are all these small elements. Anderson is the center back for Sampdoria, was supposed to be our new center back for next year. I don't think it's gonna happen now that we have Godin. So there are a lot of interesting elements. If you want my final prediction, I'm gonna say again 2-0 for us.
Who scores though? That's the question.
Who?
Who scores?
Okay. Who scores? Perisic and Brozovic.
Well called. Very, very well called. Daniel, your thoughts going into Sampdoria? Are you confident? Are you not confident? Tell me what we want to hear.
That's a tricky question. Sampdoria games are always tough games, especially at Ferraris, but at Meazza, we used to take care of it, and I hope we can get 3 points and still fighting for Champions League. And but we'll see. But I'm a optimistic person, so I guess I will hope for a win and maybe like you said, Alessandro, 2-0.
Yeah, look, Good prediction, Daniel. 2-0 sounds good. 2-0 sounds amazing. I'll take that. Me personally, I'll take 2-1. That's what I think's going to happen. I'll say goals from Perisic as well because he has returned to form. And either Raja Nainggolan or Lautaro Martinez grabs the next one. I think it's very important to go into the second leg with confidence and a little bit of a psychological boost in terms of not only mentality but physical quality. And we will get that physical quality in Marcelo Brozovic and Milan Skriniar when they come back. Me personally, I'd like to see Keita Balde injected into the lineup, but whether he's fit or not, or whether there's something going on there, I'm not too sure. Daniel, I just wanted to ask you quickly about Lautaro Martinez because psychologically there's a lot of pressure on this kid at the moment. Icardi was seen to be a big brother and a mentor to him, and here he is with the whole Inter world on his shoulders expecting to score goals. Daniel, what are your thoughts on El Toro? Do you rate this kid? Do you have high hopes for this kid?
Yes, I do, and he's a good kid, young, and he needs to play. And I'll guess this could be a turning point for him and for us. And let's give him a couple of seasons, and he'll be there because he is good, got talent, and I think he will excel. So let's hope so.
Yeah, I think so too. If he's in the right system with the right mentality and the right focus around him, he can really, really excel. All right, well, we've spoken about Rapid, we've spoken about Sampdoria. It's time to take a little bit of a break from the fixtures and focus on something a little bit more fun and recreational. For those of you who haven't been keeping up to date, Alessandro, aka Raw Zorse, has been doing bits. He's been linking up with Inter clubs all around the world, and you can find interviews on our website already from the Inter club in Egypt, and just recently this week, the Inter club in Norway. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break now. I'm going to hand it over to Alessandro, who is going to ask Daniel all about the Inter club in Norway. And yeah, you guys can take it from there. So off you go, Alessandro.
Sure. Thank you. So yeah, I'm doing this series of interview with interclubs all around the world to see how different people is following the team, the same passion, but with different time zone and different point of view. So last week I was lucky to speak with Daniel, and now we have it here on the podcast. So if you want to introduce yourself a little bit, I explain where your club is, when it was founded, and just a little introduction.
Sure, mate, and great to be here. Awesome. And okay, I'm the president of Inter Club Norway, and we have been the official supporter club in Norway for 8 or 9 years. I think it was back in 2009, 2010, the triplete season, and we became the first official Inter club, and that was really cool. For me personal, I've been an Inter fan for almost 30 years. I think it was back in '89, and the colors, black and blue, and some players like Barti, Senga, Mateus blew me away, and fell in love with the club, and have supported them since then to now. And it's a passion, it's a brotherhood, a family, across borders and boundaries. So black and blue for life.
Cool. And so how do you follow the game? What time usually they play, and how the did it change the possibility to watch the game with the technology? I bet 30 years ago wasn't as easy as today.
Pretty easy. It's the same time, in Norway as in Italy. So our supporter club are mainly based in Oslo, Bergen, and Trondheim, and for us it's pretty easy to watch games because it's the same evening times, so that's no problem.
Cool. That's lucky for you. I need to wake up super early in the morning sometimes for some fixture. And so
I
30
know.
years ago, how were you able to watch the game? Were you just watching reruns or how was it?
Uh, it's way back, 30 years has flown by, but back then it was like highlights, and at the sports center at the evenings, and I think it was early 90s they started to send some Italian games at the television. So we have been pretty lucky to catch games from early on, and then we could follow and just hang around. But it's much more easier now, to follow games live, streaming or pay TV or something. So.
Mm-hmm. And how many members is the club now counting?
Officially, this year we are approximately around 80, and at our peak, it was a couple of years ago. We had triple digits, and it's ups and downs, every season. But as long as we can stay official and gather interest in Norway, that's good.
Okay, and if there is any tourists there that is still Nerazzurro, is it able for them to contact you to watch the game together, or how can they do that?
Yeah, sure. We have some interclubs gatherings through the season to watch some games or catch a soccer tournament or season's kickoff, and so and some trips to Milano, and we went in October to see the Inter Milan derby, and we're leaving also in April to see the Inter Juve game. So in October we were 22 supporters, and in April we will be 10 or 12, I guess.
Okay. And on the website, on the interview, you can find the contacts in case you're in Norway and you want to watch the game. Maybe you can contact Daniel or somebody else from the club, and you can watch the game together, I guess. And last question, what do you think of what's going on at Inter right now?
Good question. It's a lot of stuff, I guess, but finally the club made some big moves, to show them we got spine and balls, to nobody is bigger than the club, and that's very important. I hope Mauro will be here. He's a great player, great attacker, and he's been good to us, and I hope he'll stay, but we'll see. But I guess it could be a turning point for everybody, the fans, the club, Martinez, and Icardi. So we'll see.
All right, guys, that was absolutely fantastic. Grazie, Alessandro, for setting up that interview with Daniel, and thank you for all your work getting in touch with the Inter clubs. And of course, thank you to Daniel for agreeing to come on and share all that information and all that brilliant news about the Inter club in Norvegia. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to hearing more about the Inter club in Norway in the future. Just carrying on what Daniel was just speaking about, that's the next topic in our podcast today. And, even though we're conscious of time, we can't leave you without getting this one under our belt. So, Leon, you're up first, man. And I'm not talking first because I want to hear some of you guys talk. I've already said a little bit on the previous pod with Christian and Mario, but we've got a problem at the moment. We have a big problem at the moment. A club that sacks their captain midway through the season can't not have a problem. So if anyone's been living under a rock the last 24 hours in the interworld, Mauro Icardi has been stripped of his captaincy and also refused to travel with the squad on the short journey to Austria to face Rapid Vienna. He was also rumored to have left the ground quite angry, slamming doors and, maybe hitting and kicking a couple of cars. I'm not too sure how truthful that is. But Leon, what do you make of the whole Mauro Icardi situation? Where do you think it's going to go from here? And personally, in your opinion, what do you want to come from the situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. Mauro's our best player, and he is our captain. He showed he should be our captain, regardless of the whole Wanda situation when her chiming in recently about different areas of the side of the contract. I'm hopeful that all this is just the media and the Italian media jumping on Inter as much as they like to do and overblowing things. Obviously, he was stripped of his captaincy. Obviously, they did have a problem with it. This might just be a temporary thing, but I'm just hoping we can sign him. We can get back in his good graces.
It might just be temporary.
Get back in our group.
Alessandro, what are your thoughts, man? I mean, it's a pretty big issue at the moment. We've got our own captain refusing to take the field, not to mention Wandanara always looking to create drama left, right, and center. It's not looking good, Alessandro. What do you make of the whole situation?
I think we were asking for a strong signal from Inter, and that's what we got. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm not happy about the situation in general, but that's something that it keeps going since basically this summer. So until we don't have a new contract, this thing is keep going on and on. So finally, this is it basically. This is the bloody river is speaking in Texas Hold'em. This is it. So all the cards are on the table, and there is nothing else. If you actually are an Inter player and you love this team, as you're saying, you sign a new contract, and you apologize with your teammates, and that's it. You go and play, and you show that you are the captain that you're saying you are. If not, thank you very much. It was real, and find a new team that can deal with you and your wife. That's my opinion. Inter stays what it is with or without Icardi. If he's a real Nerazzurro, as he keeps saying, it should be pretty easy for him to sign a new contract.
I would have to agree 100% with what you've said there. It really is, a case of, is this a lot easier said than done? And I actually agree with Alessandro. The answer is a flat track no. It is just as easy as it sounds. If you love this club, if you're an Interista, you know for a fact that this is just as insulting as it looks. And you need to sign that contract, and you need to put your head down, and you need to fight for the crest and for the badge. The fact that you've got your wife in the background linking you to other clubs, a certain club that we won't even mention is still being thrown into the mix today by all media outlets. We know it's BS, but we know that the media is having an absolute field day with this in the moment. And I, for one, am a little bit happy that our club is starting to behave like a big club and not letting just anybody hold their club to ransom. I mean, we're the team that lost Ronaldo to Real Madrid. We've had a host of world-class strikers, all of which hold a claim to be better than Mauro Icardi in terms of technical ability, and we've been just fine afterwards. So I really don't see any reason, as much as I love Mauro, who's been my favorite player for the last 3 or 4 seasons. Enough is enough in my book. I can't keep waking up to these headlines and these insulting rumors anymore. It's just not good enough. The fans have demanded better, and now Beppe Marotta has come into the club, and he demands a lot more and better, and I think we are getting it. Before I move along to a couple of comments and questions that have been sent into from the Inter-Australia and worldwide community, Daniel, I'm going to ask you, before we call it, Mauro Icardi, overall, what are your thoughts on our former captain's current state, and do you think it's time to cut our losses with Mauro?
Tough question. He's been a great striker, maybe top 5 in the world, and he's been good to us. Great captain, but the social media stuff, all the wonder stuff, and our club got sick of it. Finally they did it to just make a point and stripped him of his captaincy, and of course he's disappointing. But the same happened to Andrea Ranocchia a couple of years ago, and he's still with us, fighting black and blue, got heart. So Mauro needs to fight back, for the fans and for the club, and I really hope he stays. But he's a good kid, great player, but the agent stuff, it's too much,
It really is too much. Like, it's just something that we don't need. And a lot of fans, me included, are really pissed off with the fact that this is happening mid-season. It's not like this is happening during a mercato or an off-season where half the team is holidaying in the Spanish islands and the other half has gone home to South America, and they're putting up their posts every day and seeing this. Mate, we've got a fixture in 3 days. We've got another fixture a week later. We're just over halfway through our season, right at the business end where we need to collect as many points as possible. So, yeah, it's just not on, absolutely. I would have to agree with pretty much everybody here today. We're going to move into a couple of comments here because I received some absolutely fantastic comments yesterday and today, but I'm just going to focus on the ones today because they're a little bit more in touch with the news and whatnot, up to date this morning. So I had a really good comment sent in by Stefan from the Inter-Australia community, and he said that Icardi has displayed exactly what an Inter captain should not be doing. Comparing Zanetti to Icardi is laughable. You never put money, agents, or anybody ahead of a club, let alone a club like Inter. That pretty much, is echoing the thoughts of everyone that we're speaking with here today. And I would say that, I would have to agree. And another comment comes through from Sasha, who says, I've said nearly all I can say about the Icardi incident in the last 48 hours. To me, he is not an Interisti. He never was a captain, and his heart is not black and blue. All the warning signs are there. He just simply did not love this club the way we have grown to think he loves this club. It's time for this word to get out. I can't say that word on the podcast because us Aussies throw that word around way too liberally. So I'm not going to say that word on the podcast. But you can tell that the general consensus is there with all the Inter fans. And another comment from Stefan says, Marotta gets 5 stars from me for effing this word off. Once again, shout out to all my boys from Australia for using that word way too commonly. So we've got a general consensus here with the Inter fans that we are starting to behave a little bit more like a big club. We're not just talking like a big club. And that's the final thing we're going to end on today. And I'll cross over to Alessandro one more time. Do you think altogether Inter is starting to handle things a little bit better internally, whether it's from Marotta's influence or Zhang's influence? Do you think in wake of all this negativity, there is a light at the end of the tunnel here?
I think so. At the same time, though, I was a little bit worried with what Spalletti was doing right after the victory in Serie A, with the comment about Marotta and the contract with Icardi. Um, this is the right direction, but now everybody needs to follow the head, you know. So if we decided to go this way, everybody needs to follow that way, and we don't need Spalletti trying to defend this or this other player. This is the line we draw, and that's it. One thing I want to say about the comment, it is, I don't think Icardi is not an Interista. I think he is, but he's also married with somebody, and sometimes, you know, you try to follow your better half. Sometimes and it's right, sometimes it's wrong. In this case, I don't know what she's saying home, but you know, it's not just it's not just one player. It's also a person. So we need to consider that too. I'm not trying to defend them. I'm not saying that is right or wrong. I'm just saying that we need to consider that too.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that as well. Leon, final comments from you regarding the incident as a whole. Do you think that the club has at least started to form a little bit of identity of how to handle these problematic issues? And do you think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel to come from this negativity?
Yeah, there's always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel for us. And I do like the firm stance we took. I just hope we can move all past this and this whole, Wanda thing goes away and Icardi's ego goes away. Because it's all about the club.
Yeah, absolutely. And Daniel, your final thoughts as well. Do you think that the club as a whole has been handling this at least with the right focus and the right mentality? And do you think that after this we can finally move on?
Yeah, hope so. But we'll see in a couple of weeks how the things will end up. Mauro, Spalletti, and all other players. But finally, the club made a statement and shows us, the fans, players, that we got balls, and finally. So a lot of fuss, but give the case a couple of days or a week, and I hope we'll be there. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Well, that's all we're going to have time for tonight. We've gone a little bit over time. Sticking with you, Daniel, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. Best of luck with all your work with the Inter Club Norway, and we will definitely be talking to you soon on the podcast, mate. Thank you.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much. Our pleasure, and cool to be here and hang out and talk Inter. So, Interista per sempre.
Forza. Leon, my friend, thank you so much for coming on, and please travel safe, take care of yourself, and we look very much forward to seeing some of your footage and hearing back from you very soon after your trip to the Meazza.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'll be sure to check in from the game.
And last but definitely not least, thank you so much to Alessandro for more than one thing, not just for consistently joining us, but for putting together that hard work with the Inter Club Norway, Egypt, and a whole host of other cities to come. So make sure you stay tuned to Alessandro. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure, honestly, meeting all these incredible Inter supporter. It's fantastic. And Leon, salutami Milano. Buon viaggio.
You got it. Grazie.
All right, well done, ragazzi. From myself, an extended thank you from everybody at Inter Worldwide. I echo what Alessandro said. Keep sending in your comments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to all our platforms. Everything is peaking, and we're going to keep peaking with you. As always, from all of us at Inter Worldwide, Forza Inter per sempre. Ciao.
Ciao.